Hello everybody! What a surprise! Happy Chinese New Year everybody! AIMS APAC REIT just announced the third quarter numbers for 2023 and the results surprised me on multiple fronts. You can see I was eagerly anticipating the release of the numbers because I bought so much of it, right? I talked about it in the video over here when I started buying at the 129, and then subsequently markets just went into a tailspin in October and November, and I bought more in at 118 and 117. I think I also bought some at the 116, but I cannot remember anymore. It's been a flurry of activities which I also documented over here. So with the decently big stake in AIMS APAC REIT, after all these purchases last year in 2022, I was eagerly anticipating the numbers, and I gotta say though, the numbers completely took me by surprise. So let's take a look at this slide, which summarizes everything very nicely. The first number to look at is of course the DPU, rising at 10% year on year, man. It was crazy. I was thinking that this year, this quarter, I think the numbers will be at 245, 246, at best 248. Oh, it surprised me at the 259. So it was a bit for me, like big time. So based on my purchase price of 116, 117, 118 or 120 something, look at it. The distribution yield is 8.4% based on a price of 124, right? So based on 116, 117, 118, I think my yield on this stuff is like mid 9% already, man. It's crazy. Massively big, I think. Looking at the numbers over here, the number that struck was of course the rental reversion, up 21%, man. It was crazy. I did not expect this number at all. I thought the numbers would be good, it will be positive, but I did not expect 21%. Some more, looking at the leases that they renewed, it's not a small number though. It was like maybe 6 plus or 7% of the total NLA. So a decently big portion of the leases were renewed, and the rental reversion was 21%. That's super good. And look at the occupancy, also stable. Actually, it's heading upwards. So the occupancy is also higher. So higher occupancy with a higher rental reversion, that's massively good. Retention rate dropped though at 79%, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because some tenants did not want to pay up for the rental reversions and they left, but they would find better paying tenants to take their space, right? That's why the occupancy is actually higher. So a lower retention rate is not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you get the good rental reversions. So you can get people to pay up and occupy your properties. What's so bad about it? It's very good. So you can see the highlights over here, right? High occupancy with positive rental reversions. And I say very, very good positive rental reversions at that. So the numbers over here are quite stable. It's in line with what we've covered previously. 36% gearing ratio, which is not high. But of course, there's the perps. So if you adjust it for the perps, it's actually higher. Everything over here is constant as last quarter. So high fixed rates, both in terms of rates and the FX. And this is the occupancy figures. You can see everything is ticking higher actually. Singapore properties are better occupied. Australia is 100%. So portfolio is higher. And if we have the different segments, everything is also higher. Logistics is higher, light industrial is higher, everything else is stable. So very, very good occupancy rate. This is the NAV. Well, they don't do a reval because this is the third quarter, but nonetheless the NAV went lower. But that's because of the FX. So it's the impact of the Aussie versus the Sing. The good thing about this REIT is that there are just two geographies, right? Singapore and Australia. So you don't have to think about the euro, the dollar, the yen, the cable, and what. Oh, it's just a Singapore Sing and the Aussie, which is kind of stable. Everything else is kind of the same. Only thing that the adjusted ICR is 2.3 because of the effects of the perps. So on a non-adjusted basis, ICR is 4.1. So you gotta think about the perps and the effects and so on and so forth. If you look at the FX, it's also a bit of a up and down. So like in end September, it's like 96 or something. So in December is 92. So there's a drop of like a few percent, right? And then subsequently you can see that the for the last few days in January, the FX Aussie is appreciated against the Sing. So this is just a lot of volatility causing translation effects into the NAV. But I say the Aussie is quite stable against the Sing. I don't think we expect a lot of big surprises over here. Unlike what we see in the cable and the euro and stuff, and the yen especially. This stuff, I think the FX is just or kind of stable. The debt maturity profile is also similar to what we've covered previously, so nothing big to look at. I would say this was the reason why I bought so much of AIMS during the sell-off in October, November last year. If you look at the debt maturity, nothing much to worry about. Just 4% maturing in 23 and 24 over the next 2 years. So what you worry about? Nothing much. So the next pillar will be in 25. But of course there will also be perps in 25 and 26. So that's not covered over here. So that's something that we need to be aware of. But it's still very safe for the next 2 years. You can see the debt maturity has extended over here, right, to 2028. With the average debt maturity of the 3.2 years. So actually it's very safe if you are worried about the debt refinancing amidst rising interest rates. So during the sell-off and the planning over Fed raising rates and stuff, this was so obvious a buy, right? Using back then I was thinking it yields me 7.5 to 8%. Now it's looking like it's gonna yield me around 9% actually, of my purchase price of course, which was a big surprise, big welcome actually. The interest rate management, FX management is also everything is hedged. So very well managed balance sheet. This was a big surprise for me. Looking at the profile, there are some things that I anticipated and some things that I did not anticipate. So look at the overall rental reversions is 21%, and you can see that they executed the new leases of 11 and renewal of 16, right? So 6.7% of the portfolio was renewed. Not a small profile, right? So if you are renewing only like 1% of the portfolio and the rental reversion is 21%, then it's no big deal, right? It's like oh, why are you like talking about it? But no, it's like 7% of the portfolio and the reversion was 21%, right? So this is a massive deal. So P times Q, right, is higher. So logistics and warehouses, it did not surprise me that the rental reversion was positive, but 25% was a massive. I think the read through is that the Singapore logistics properties are still doing very very well, which is why in this video over here we're talking about the World Cup Dream Team for 2023. Logistics properties continue to be the backbone of my defenses. It's highly defensive, which can actually turn out to be quite aggressive on the offensive as well. Business park slowdown was not surprising because you look at the recession fears and rising labor costs and inflationary effects. I think business parks will see some softness, so this did not surprise me. General industrials surprised me because I thought the industrials would do a bit soft, which is similar to business parks. Because if you are talking about recession fears and rising costs and labor and stuff, you think the industrials will do a bit poorly, right? But the reversions are still very very strong at 22%. This really surprised me. Light industrials likewise up 7%. So these two stuff really surprised me. So the fact that they were positive surprised me a lot. The fact that this guy is 22% surprised me a lot. So the fact that this guy is up is not surprising. But the fact that this is up 26% is very, very surprising. Overall, 21% reversion this quarter was a very, very big surprise to me. The upside was crazy compared to just 6% last quarter, right? 10% in the first quarter. Look at the manager's guidance. They also talk about quite clearly, right? In the industrial space, they're talking about favorable demand-supply dynamics. I think what is happening though is that because of COVID, right, the supply of industrial properties has been tapered, and therefore there's a demand-supply imbalance. So demand is quite high actually because of the slow growth of the logistics supply. Industrial supplies over the past 2 years. You can see that they're talking about the life sciences and high value manufacturing sectors. So I think this translates into the read through from this guy, right? Is that you're gonna see pretty good rentals for the industrials in Singapore. So be it A-REIT, ESR, even Sabana, you can see the partial offer for Sabana, right? Maple Tree Industrial as well. I think, and also Maple Tree Logistics. These guys are gonna benefit, I think. Australia is also very stable. Look at what they say. Flight to quality amidst infrastructure demand. So I think the Australian properties are still in demand as well. So I think actually for the next quarter, when you look for the cap rates for these guys, the cap rates if I'm not wrong, should probably be stable, if not see further compressions, and that will augur well for the NAV prospects going forward. So when everybody is still thinking about rate hikes and therefore cap rates to spike and NAVs to drop, I think these guys might be able to surprise with cap rates or compressions, or if even if there's no compression, it will be very stable. Therefore, the NAV will still be very stable and giving you a very good DPU growth. So overall, a very good set of results from this guy actually. Very good welcome to 2023. So I'm really happy about it. What about you guys?